Welcome to Empowering Vibes, the show that supports you to create an extraordinary life. My name is Hannah Wiss, and I'm your host, life coach, certified yoga teacher, and founder of Yoga Junkies, a yoga lifestyle brand for on and off the mat. In this show, I will talk with inspiring guests who share their knowledge and story about topics such as mindset, mental health, mindfulness, healing, passion, and spirituality. I will also be guiding you through meditations and teach you the tools and tactics to heal your heart, follow your intuition, connect with your true authentic self, and learn how to turn your dreams into reality. So, are you ready to shine your light?
We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers.
I am so excited and deeply grateful to have such an inspiring, upbeat guest on the show. Pearl, thank you so much for taking time to join us today, and welcome to Empowering Vibes.
Thank you so much, Hannah. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm super excited to chat with you.
I'm so excited too, especially because we're talking about a topic that we've not really had on a podcast yet. You are a holistic health coach and you are teaching people how to increase, especially entrepreneurs, how to increase their energy. And when I dove into your world, what I love the most about your approach and why I wanted to have you on the show is because you see health not only from a physical perspective, but you see what you say the trinity of health. Would you explain more about that and how you perceive health as a holistic approach?
Yeah, I love that. You dove deep and looked into my stuff, which is beautiful. So I call it Trinity of Health. And the three areas of health that we need to optimize as human beings are your mind, body, and soul. So a lot of people just think it's like, oh, I just gotta eat healthy and, go to the gym and move my body. And yes, that's really important. But actually, from my personal experience or from my clients' experience, it's also your health is a big part of how you think about yourself, right? Your thoughts, your mindsets, things like that. And also I believe in soul alignment because, when you can be your most thriving, optimal self is when you're in alignment with your soul and your purpose and going towards the things that light you up, right? And so having all those three in alignment is going to help you get those optimal energy levels. And that's what I've experienced in my personal journey as well.
Do you want to share more about your personal journey and why health has become such an important part of your life?
Yeah, for sure. And so I label myself as a health and mindset coach because most of the work I do is the mindset piece, honestly, because in my journey, the biggest thing that I overcame was my mindset. And it was never really the health. Like, I just really appreciate feeling really good in my body. And so I optimize my health because I want to be energized. I want to feel really good. But I've always been healthy. Like, I'm very grateful to always have been healthy. Growing up, we ate healthy. I was always active. So that never was the issue for me. For me, it was my mindset. It was struggling with anxiety, depression, with panic attacks, with low self-worth, with low confidence, really not loving myself and not being content with who I was. And so when I was at my lowest point, really in a bad space, like really low and just always miserable, like couldn't get myself out of bed, I just hated my life. Everything was going to shit. Like, I was blaming everyone else for all the things that are happening to me, blah, blah, blah. Very victim mindset. I just realized one day I was just so unhappy. And I'm like, I eat healthy, I go to the gym, but I'm literally miserable. I'm like, what? Why? There has to be there's something else. You know what I mean? And so, because I believe when I say optimal health and well being and energy, it's like your mood and your happiness is like one of the most important things as an indicator of how you're doing. And so I was like, okay, well, clearly, like me just eating healthy and moving my body is not enough. So I dove deeper into like why I was feeling this way and why I wasn't, content with my life. And so a lot of that is actually I wasn't aligned in what I was doing. My job was draining me. It wasn't what I was actually meant to do on this earth. And then I just wasn't thinking about myself in a way that was empowering, in a way that was supportive, in a way that was healthy. So I did a lot of mindset work and I also shifted and pivoted to take more action towards creating a life that is in alignment and working on my dream goals and what I'm meant to be doing here and doing more dancing and doing the mindset work and helping more people with their health and mindset in other areas too. So that's my journey because I realized like there's only a little piece to the puzzle when you only focus on your health and like your physical well-being, but like we are spiritual beings, we are energetic beings. There's so much more to really optimizing your state. So yeah.
Beautiful. Yes, there's so much energy that's being drained when we have this negative self talk or when we constantly worry and all these things. And so often that's overlooked. And that's why I love to have you on the show. And that's why I love your approach so much. What would you say are the biggest mindset shifts that you took?
That I took personally, yeah, I think first of all, it's like realizing that a lot of us, and this it can vary depending on how you were brought up, a lot of us are really hard on ourselves, very self-critical, very, ties into perfectionism, want to do the best, want to make sure you don't make a mistake, or oh my gosh, I have to be perfect, I need to look a certain way. Sorry. And so it's like getting rid of that perfectionism and realizing like nothing is perfect. You're not perfect, but how you are right now is actually amazing and beautiful, and honoring where you are right now. And yes, there's areas to improve always, but just being like, hey, like I'm actually a pretty awesome human being, like, and acknowledging the things that you have done and overcome, and who you are, and all the little things that you love about yourself and how much you do accomplish. So for me, it was a lot of like, oh, instead of being like, you're not doing enough, Pearl, like you suck at that, like why can't you be better? It's actually like, I'm actually doing a lot of amazing things. I've worked through this, I've done this, and every day just celebrating yourself a little more and acknowledging all the little things you do. Because there'll be, days where I get all this stuff done, but because I didn't finish everything on my to-do list, I was like, oh wow, you didn't finish it, but I literally checked off 10 out of 12 things, but I didn't do the other two, and I was like, oh my god. So it's just like flipping the script and flipping your narrative and perspective to actually look at how much you do get done, how incredible you are, how much action you do take, right? There's always more to be done. Yes, of course, there always will be more to be done, but it's like we're not going to live in that world because you're just going to be chasing that more and more and more, right? And that's how you burn out, and that's how never feel like you're doing enough. And that was me. I burnt out really bad because I was chasing this idea that I had to do more, and I wasn't doing enough, and I had to chase all the things and the people and the comparison. But like I burnt myself out so much, and I was like, dude, I'm doing a lot. Like dang. So that's one thing. And then the other thing was just like tying into that, just realizing like I'm actually a really amazing human being, and just realizing your powers, realizing your strengths. And I think when you tap deeper into like your soul's purpose and like what you're meant to be here doing a lot of inner work like meditating and journaling and healing your traumas and reconditioning your brain and like releasing trapped emotions, things like that, because our body holds on to a lot of shit that we don't realize. We need to actually work through that and let it go. And you realize like you're like it's actually amazing to be a human, and what we're doing here, especially those of us that are entrepreneurs, those of us that are of service, we're like doing amazing work. And so acknowledging like how incredible you are and being able to hype yourself up and be like, yeah, like I am. And every morning just realizing like I'm the shit, but not in like a cocky way, but in like a I acknowledge like my gifts and why I'm here on this earth, and that's incredible. So those are two really big shifts I made. So I'm not trying to be perfect anymore, not chasing more, and realizing that I am amazing.
Love it. I swear, story of my life, and I can really, really um I so understand you because I came exactly from the right place. And I still catch myself being like, after a day of, I don't know, 12 hours work, like getting so much done. And then it was yet not enough, or I should have done more. I'm like, what? No, that was amazing. So, how was it for you? Is it that you started to incorporate like a habit, for example, that in the evening you have kind of like a success journal where you wrote down like things you did well that day? Or is it more kind of like an internal thing where exactly like I just said, like I'm noticing a bad thought and I'm like, no, actually, what I'm saying myself right now is wrong. So, how did it happen for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. For me, it was a bit of both, actually. It was a bit of both. So I would say I started to shift the way I looked at things. So when I would get a lot done, or I would check things off my to-do list, I would celebrate everything I checked off, right? And also at the end of the day, I do like a kind of like whether it's journaling or going through my mind, either way, but I just recap like everything I did that day. So right now I'm just in the process. I type it out, like I text myself, and I just text out like what I did today and like all the things. I'm like literally some days like I'm just like typing I'm like, oh my God, I did this and I did that. And oh my God, I had that conversation, made that connection. And so I'm like, wow. And I've been doing that every day for a long time. So I just focus on all the things I did get done, because I used to think of all the things I didn't do, right? At the end of the night, you're like, oh, I forgot to do that. Oh my gosh, I didn't do that. Oh, and Pearl, you forgot. Like, come on, how could you forget that? At the end of the night, and you're like, okay, tomorrow I have to do this and this and this because I didn't get this done. I gotta work longer and that's the mindset I used to be in. But now it's like, wow, I did all these things, and tomorrow I get to do also these things as well, but not in a place of from like lack and not enoughness, but it's like, wow, like I accomplished a lot today, and tomorrow I get to do even more amazing things. And the things that I get to do are I prioritize what's really important. And so what I find that people do, and this used to be me, is that the things on the list are not actually all priorities. You know what I mean? So we make these long to-do lists and we put all the things on it, but a lot of those things aren't even that important, but we make them really important. So it's like, what is actually moving the needle for you in your life, in your business, and how you want to be and how you want to show up? And just focus on those things. Anything else is just extra. So like in my mind, there's like my top few priorities every single day, and anything else is extra. It's like an extra added bonus. So I no longer look at my list as I must get all these things done. It's like, okay, I do the most important things in the morning or whatever during the day, and then these other things are like extra bonus points. So it's like if I get those extra things done, I did a damn good job today. So it's like that flip too. And all the things on your list, most people waste time doing busy work and actually being procrastinating, putting things off, not optimizing their state, and, you know, doing things like that. So it's like, can we cut out the things you're doing? Like, are you scrolling too much on social media, right? Are you spending too much time in the DMs? Are you maybe not optimizing how you're creating content? Maybe you're sitting there on Canva for an hour trying to think of what to post when you could be moving your body to get energy to be creative and then post and write it in 10 minutes. And so it's just being more effective in your day and realizing, yeah, the things you do, maybe reassess those and realize it's not that important to do the other things you think are important, and then acknowledging all the things you're already doing at the end of the day. So that was kind of shifts I made.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. And especially, I feel like so often we think like it's so important to get that task done, that and that. And then our health, like our physical movement, or like to connect with another social, we're all social beings. Like we need those social, meaningful connections. And those things then tend to, because we're so performance driven, and that's just what society teaches us, and that's what we're conditioned for, that we sometimes tend to neglect those things. And then so many people have a burnout, not because due to negative self talk or mindset stuff, but then really because they left out or never prioritized things such as moving their body, like connecting with others, and so on, or meditating, like you said. So that's absolutely beautiful, which actually brings me to the next point that I would love to talk about, is your energy equation. We already talked about the mindset, but would you tell us more about, it's kind of like your signature program, and yeah, just tell us more about it.
Yeah, I love that. The energy equation is my signature program. And it's really a culmination of everything that I've learned and experienced and overcame. And that's really supported how I show up and my energy levels today. And so I think everyone has their unique energy equation that they get to figure out for themselves. And that looks different for everyone. But I do go over the three kind of pillars and trifecta of health. So it's your mindset, it's your soul, it's your physical body, optimizing those. And through the energy equation, we walk through different modalities and strategies and mindset shifts and ways to apply this to your life. But a big part of my energy equation is helping you optimize your mindset, your nutrition, your movement, and your sleep. I call the M&Ms of your life. And so when you're optimizing your M&Ms, you get to feel really, really good. And then the energy comes, also taps into your like soul and being in alignment, right? But the mindset work, so we work on limiting beliefs, your self-talk, shifting your perspective, also working on rewiring your brain. So where that looks like doing visualizations or listening to certain hypnosises, or working through moving through traumas and like releasing trapped emotions, right? Optimizing how you respond to things. I do some nervous system work as well, because it's super important to know how to regulate your nervous system and also like catch your thoughts and don't get sucked into your thoughts. So things like that. And then your nutrition, of course. I am a big believer in intuitive eating. So I really support people to learn how to respond and listen to their body, and when their body needs something like food or water, and how your body responds to certain foods and meals, so you can learn more about what actually is meant for you. Because I believe everyone's meant to eat a little differently. Like, yes, there's a key things you need. You need vegetables, you need proteins, you need carbohydrates. Yes, but that might look a little different for everyone. So being really intuitive with the process and responding and listening to your body. So a big part of that is actually getting out of your head into your body, especially as women. A lot of us, we feel like we need to be so go, go, go and so in our masculine, but we actually end up being a lot really detached from our body. We don't know what it's saying, and we don't acknowledge like the cues and the signals it gives us. So we'll just like, our body would be telling us something and we're just like, oh, I'll just keep working, I need to finish this. But so taking the time and pausing and learning how to tap into your body and building a relationship with that, so you can fuel the knowledge you have and how you need to eat and what feels really good for you. And then of course movement is a big part of your energy, moving your body. I'm a big fan of dancing, so I do a lot of dancing. I do dance fitness classes, help women tap into their femininity, right? Feeling sexy, moving your hips, moving like that, because I think it's so important. Like, yes, lifting weights is important and resistance training is important, but there's also something to be said through moving, through dancing, through just flowing and not having so much structure around movement is a really beautiful way to express more, to also release trapped emotions, to feel more confident in your body, to just like express in a different way. So I think movement and dancing is a very powerful thing that every woman needs to do more in their life. And then the last one is sleep. And so optimizing your sleep. And I think a lot of people believe they need 8 hours of sleep, but that's not actually true. And it's finding what's right for you. So finding your optimal sleep levels so you can get enough deep rest and get up in the morning feeling really good and refreshed. And maybe for you it's 7 hours, maybe 7.5 hours, like whatever that is for you, but optimizing your sleep, because when you sleep and get those deep REM cycles, it actually allows you to rest and recover properly. Your body's able to do everything it needs to do overnight. Your brain is most active overnight, right? So if you're a high performing person, you want to improve your performance, having optimized sleep is so key. So tweaking that, doing some sleep habits, patterns, rewiring the brain, nervous system work, all the things to really help you optimize your energy. So yeah, that's my energy equation.
I love it. And I love that generally, I think I feel like a few years ago, there was this super trendy thing of like hack your sleep and the like kind of like can sleep when I'm dead and so on. And now people start to understand like how important sleep actually is for our health, and that during our sleep, lots of healing is happening and so on. And I find that's so important to talk about that. And I know actually a lot of people who struggle, like who have some sleep problems and so on. So if somebody comes to you who's like struggling to get either a good night of rest, even though it's enough time, or wakes up at night, or some people also have problems to fall asleep, what would you say? Like, how would you approach if that client came to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. And sleep is really a culmination of your day and like how you're operating. So I would take a look at their whole entire life really, because it's like, what are you doing? What time are you getting up? What are you eating? Are you moving your body? Right? And what are you doing right before bed? A lot of people struggle with sleep from my experience is because their nervous system's unable to calm down. They're unable to bring their nervous system down to a state, right? Their brain waves are unable to come down, and so it's like, how do we get you to that state? But most of the time, it's like how you're operating throughout the day kind of adds up and affects your sleep. So people like relying on too much stimulants during the day for energy, right? People not moving their bodies, because when you move your body, it actually improves your sleep in the evening. People not eating properly, right? And then also like your hormones and your sleep and eating affects a lot of other things too. So then it's like, are you on your screens before bed, right? Are you working really late? Are you going right from the phone right to bed? Are you in bed on your phone, right? Is there too much blue light in the evening for you? Are you giving yourself time to relax and wind down and calm down your nervous system? So things like that. So oftentimes it's like a whole revamp of their life, because all those things affect your sleep. But the biggest things I do see is that the pre-bed time, they're just like on their phones, or they're not really being mindful of their state as they're going to bed. And so also their minds are running and going. They're not letting their minds really rest, whether that means like having a conversation with someone, or like journaling your thoughts, or winding down through meditation, whatever it is going to get you to that state. But you need to be in a relaxed state. You need to know how to bring your nervous system down. Also through breathing, right? A lot of people don't breathe in a way in the evening that brings them down and calms them down. Nice slow breaths, right? Into the diaphragm, things of that nature. So there's a lot of things we can do before bed, also during the day, to help us improve our sleep.
Amazing. I feel like, especially in the personal development world, there's like a huge thing about the morning routine, and that's like, more productivity, da 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 da, everything through the morning routine. But then actually to have an evening routine, I find this is so important too, to kind of like how you spend the last, let's say, 30 minutes before you go to bed. What are you doing? How are you winding down, as you say? And I felt like the more I started to tweak that and incorporate certain things, that the more like I fall asleep. Like my husband said the other day, he doesn't know anybody who falls asleep so fast. It's literally like I do things like lavender oil and all these kind of things and so on, and I close my eyes and I'm gone. It's really like, and I feel like that is because I have these blue light glasses, which I look very nerdy with and so on, to make sure, even though I have like all our phones nowadays even have the settings that we can remove the blue light, but then still, like, to do all these things, I feel like this helps so much to then find a good night of sleep.
Yeah, actually, I say that to my clients. Like, your morning routine actually starts in the evening, right? Like, it's directly related. And so, focusing on your evening routine is super important. I still do think a morning routine is important, but your evening routine is more important. And yeah, I'm the same as you. Like, I fall asleep so fast, it's crazy. And people are like, "What? How do you do that?" But it's just like, it's the routines, the mindset. Also, you get into a habit, right? And so your brain learns that you now fall asleep faster, and then it keeps doing that when you have those certain things in place and build a strong habit of your pre-bedtime routine. So I love that for you.
Thank you. I would
Yeah.
like to, you just mentioned it in the sense of sleep, but generally so many, especially of us women, have hormonal problems, hormonal imbalances, or sometimes those are actually the reason why we do have certain symptoms. So how would you say, what is like a common thing that you notice under your clients? And if we notice this or that, like how should we approach it? Should we do a hormonal test? Are they even like telling us good enough information about if we really do have something? Should we track a journal to see certain patterns? What would you recommend?
Yeah, that is such a good question. So I don't suggest like if you want to go take a test, totally go for it. I don't use or suggest tests in terms of balancing your hormones because you can feel it. Like, and again, I support people to really tuning into their body. You can feel when, you're not on optimized, or when you're not falling asleep, or maybe you have cravings in the evening. There's certain things that indicate that your hormones are out of balance, right? You being super stressed out, you having lots of cravings, you being hangry, having, energy swings, mood swings, having crashes in the afternoon. What else? Like, yeah, not being able to sleep, tossing and turning, hormonal acne, indigestion, things can really, so for me it's clear when people's hormones are out of balance, and then when you're in balance, if you just feel so much better. And a big indicator of hormones being out of balance is your PMS symptoms as well. Like, if you have severe PMS symptoms, if you experience bad cramps and pain, and your menstrual cycle and your mood is all over the place when you have your period, things like that, I'm like, yeah, for sure, because I used to be the same, but I now have almost no PMS symptoms, so that's a good indicator too. So I think the biggest thing here is women, we are not meant to operate like men, but in society, it's actually based off men and like how they operate in their energy, the 9 to 5, the hustle, go, 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 all the things. And so as women, we need to actually refill our cup up more and take breaks and eat properly and make sure we're moving our body and tapping into our intuition and taking time for self-care, whatever that looks like for you, right? And calming down your nervous system, because nervous system also is related to your stress and your hormones, and not relying on coffee for things. And so all the things I mentioned is all supporting your health. But one big thing is like eating. I notice the biggest thing that can help you balance out your hormones is eating balanced meals and eating regularly throughout the day. And so making sure your meals have carbohydrates, making sure they have fiber, enough protein, right? A little bit of healthy fats, right? Women, we actually need to eat more fat. So people think like, oh, I'm going to do a low fat and I'm going to avoid the fats. Like, no, we actually need to eat fat, like the healthy fats that are supportive for our hormones, for our brain. So we need that. And so making sure you're getting everything you need in your meals and eating in a way that supports your blood sugar levels as well. And so not skipping meals, right? Not just eating a muffin and a coffee, like making sure you have all those components of a balanced meal so you can have your blood sugars in a way that support your hormones and support how you feel and thus support your overall health. And so that's a big one that I always help people with, because most people are not eating enough in general or enough protein or just having balanced meals. And so that's a big one.
Thank you so much for sharing. What would you say? Like, I talked before with one of my best friends. She's a mom of two kids. She like building a house, like having like soon back to her job, like having 10,000 things, in all different areas and so on. And we were talking about like how much we have constantly going on, and like she felt so tired and so kind of like burnt out. And we were talking about trying to find like, okay, what can she do so she kind of like her nerves, she was like already very feeling not resilient at all, and like her nerves are already so thin. So what would you say are your top tips for somebody who feels like already on the edge of, it's not a real diagnosed burnout, but we just have sometimes these phases where we feel like, oh, my batteries are very low right now. What would you say
Yeah.
can we do, even though some schedules are so filled, or like if you're a mom of two, like there's not like you can't just take a break?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, what comes up is like doing whatever, like it doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, like taking some time for yourself every single day, right? Like I know everyone can find 5 minutes to just sit there and breathe. You know what I mean? Like you can find the time. So make that happen for yourself. Like whatever pockets, like for a busy mom, maybe you need to get up before your kids get up. Or maybe it's like when your kids are napping, you just take time to sit there and just like relax and de-stress and breathe, or whatever you feel is going to help you be in a more calm state, right? Just take that time, right? It doesn't take long to bring yourself down. So 5, 10 minutes, right? If you can do longer, of course, better. But if you're tight on time, 5 minutes, anything is better than nothing. I always tell my clients that anything, like if you can't move for an hour, move for 10 minutes, right? Do a quick stretch. If you can't take half an hour to meditate, do it for 5 minutes, right? Any little bit counts because you're building the habit and you need to take action to build the habit, right? Another thing that comes up for me is like the amount of immense pressure you put on ourselves to get things done in a certain time frame. So one thing that really helped me, and I suggest my clients do as well, it's like, why do you have to do all these things in the next 2 days? Like, why you put all these deadlines and things on ourselves? A lot of times, the things we're doing, they're self-inflicted. You know what I mean? Like, I don't actually have to do any of these things in next week, but I told myself I have to. So I have this internal pressure. Like I must get this done. Like, of course, there are things that do have deadlines that are not in my control, but are there things that are in your control that you can push back? Like, is the world going to burn down if you don't get that done tomorrow? You know what I mean? And so realizing kind of back to the to-do list thing, what's actually urgent? What's actually a priority? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't have to do all the 10 things I said I was going to do tomorrow on my list. Just do the most important things. Because if you're burning yourself out because you want to do all the things, it's like, can you just move your pressure back? Can you just move your timeline back? Can you just be a little more compassionate to yourself and get the things done that actually matter? And knowing that, something I tell myself all the time recently is like, I'm exactly on time. I think a lot of us think we're in a rush. We're always in a rush to get this done. And oh my gosh, I gotta be successful in a month, or I wanna hit that 10K month for entrepreneurs, right? I need to hit that 10K month. Like I'm not successful enough yet. I'm not making enough money yet. I want more clients, blah, blah, blah. And like you will get there. Like you're exactly on time. Like just keep doing the things you're doing. If you're burning out, you're not actually gonna get to your goal in the time you want. You know what I mean? And so it's like knowing that you're exactly on time, and I believe the universe has divine timing meant for all of us. So it's like, why are you rushing the process when it's happening how it's meant to, exactly as it is right now? So those are three things I would say you can shift in order to like bring yourself a little more down, be a little more resilient, and not rush through the entire process and not feel like you need to do all the things exactly in this moment, because that's not necessary at all.
Thank you. That's amazing. That's actually something we were talking about. That so much of the things is like self inflicted pressure that I put on myself, she puts on herself, you put on your, like, and I feel like this is something us women, we have a tendency to do that more. That we want everything to, like, that we feel we're the ones having to do everything, and that, like, sometimes really to delegate something, or just to, like, maybe certain things are just not at the perfection level that we want to have it, but to let go of these things. I feel there's so much that, especially with like burnout, low batteries, all these things, so much is just the internal story of, like, maybe not allowing ourselves to say no to certain dates where we feel like actually
Mhm.
those people are not really like, and like getting us in a high vibration. We just feel obligated to meet that person. Or certain tasks that we actually, somebody else, we could ask somebody for help, but then we feel like we're the ones having to do it. So I feel like so much about these things is truly the internal story, which comes back how you're saying that mindset is such an important part of health.
Yeah, exactly. And like you have the permission to change your mind and to say no. I think as women, we feel obligated to like, oh no, but I said like I have to. Like, you don't have to. If something doesn't align with you anymore, or if you're like, listen, like I need to take care of myself, I just don't have time. Like say no. Like it's okay to be like, can we move the date or can we move this or can you help me with this? Like I need more space for me. Like it's okay to ask for help, to say no, to change your mind, right? You have permission to do that, and I think we don't give ourselves enough of that permission to actually be like, yeah, mom needs some me time. Or like, one time I told a friend, I'm like, I actually can't meet. I said I was going to meet with you, but I really want this day for myself. And everyone always understands, right? Unless it's like a really big
Absolutely.
event, a really important thing. Yeah, maybe don't counsel on those things. But for the little like hangouts or like, I want to catch up over coffee or like, can we just postpone it? Everyone always understands. And so we think, oh, they're going to not like me or I can't bail. Like, no, people definitely will appreciate that if you just communicate it in a certain way.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's all just made up stuff in our mind, and it's actually like, I feel like the more we communicate and the more we're open about, like, hey, actually I would really need a day break or something, like, can we, as you say, postpone, or like maybe next week and so on. Everybody is like, oh yeah, actually I'm very relieved, like I'm actually very, very tired too. I'm just also not allowing myself the break. Like, more and more friends of mine, like, this is the conversations we're having, that like they're actually relieved that they now have a little spot of a break too, where I'm thinking like, like, why don't we all voice it more so we then actually get all our needs met?
Yeah, that's so
Um,
powerful. It's actually funny because anytime like a friend cancels on me, I'm like, thank God. I'm like, I need some time to myself. I'm like, I never mad anymore because I'm like, I could use that time.
yeah, and it's and it all comes down, I feel like, to really like tuning in to our needs, like what is our need right now. And sometimes it is more getting out and meeting a person and kind of like having this human connection, having physical touch, maybe even, and so on. Like, sometimes I feel that charges, I mean, I'm an extrovert, so it's for me especially like that, but sometimes I feel like just a good laugh with somebody and kind of like meeting an old friend or whatever recharges our batteries 10 times more than, I don't know, a Netflix evening or whatever, just even a bubble bath or something. But then on the other hand, sometimes exactly those are the things that we need, just some alone time and like not having to talk, not having to think, just like, and so on. And it's all about, as you say, the individual and getting to know ourselves and not tuning in and learning to, okay, what do I need at that moment? And how can I make it the best happening with whatever is going on in my life?
Yeah, I know exactly right. And I think that's why I'm a big believer in like tuning into your body and your intuition, what it tells you to do, because everyone's going to be different. And some days you might want to go see your friend and go have that laugh, which is amazing. And other days you might want to stay at home. And so it's honoring all these phases and the ways we go through and knowing what works for you to fill up your cup depending on the day, depending on the season you're in. And that's why tuning into your intuition and like responding to your body, what it needs, what you need is so important, because that's what's going to help guide you to be your optimal self. And it's going to look different all the time. And so just listening to that and not having to think like, okay, well, because last week I did this and I felt good, like it's allowed to change and it will shift depending on where you're at, on what feels good for you in the moment. And so just coming back to your body and being present with it, and then let that guide you to make the next decisions, is what's been really powerful for me as well.
Amazing. My last question would be, if you would have to this huge topic of health, sum it up in like 3 top tips that you have to improve our energy, what would that be? And then for somebody who just kind of like licked blood and wants to work with you or learn more about you, where can we find you?
Oh, 3. Okay. That's hard because there's so many, but I would say balanced meals, all right? Super important. Make sure you're getting enough carbs, protein, fats, fiber, right? Second thing would be to be really mindful of your thoughts and like how your thoughts affect your energy and how your thoughts affect kind of the things you're doing and whether that's serving you or not, right? Because your thoughts have a big impact on your stress levels, on how you do things, on how you see things, on your mood, right? And so health is a really big part of how you feel, and your thoughts affect how you feel. So being very mindful of your mindset as well. And then the third thing would be really make sure you optimize your sleep. Like get that sleep, make sure you calm down your nervous system. I was going to say nervous system work, but they're kind of all related. So nervous system work, yes, but also optimizing your sleep in the evening, making sure you're taking that time to have the blue light glasses or get off your phone early, or just do things that are going to really help you get deeper sleep so you can feel better the next day. That's, I would say, the 3 things that you can focus on that will definitely impact so much of your health. And then how you can find me, I'm available on Instagram at Pearl Cicci. My handle is at Pearl Cicci, which is my name. And so yeah, DM me if you have any questions, you want to learn more about the program or whatever. I'm so happy to chat always. And it's been such a pleasure to be on the podcast. Thank you so much.
I will link everything in the show notes, and to you, a huge thank you. I feel like we all just learned so much, and it's such an important topic. So thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom with the world, sharing it with us. And thank you so much for shining your beautiful light.
Oh, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here. I appreciate you having me. And I hope that was so good for everyone that's listening.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I would love to connect with you on a more personal level on Instagram at Empowering Vibez, where you will receive daily inspiration and more insights on how you can turn your dreams into reality. If you want to dive even deeper into becoming your best self and you would like my support, check out my website, empoweringvibez.com. Be sure to subscribe to Empowering Vibez so you don't miss a single episode. And if you like the show, share it with someone who's looking to live an extraordinary life. Thank you so much for being part of this beautiful community. I'm sending you so much love and a big, big hug. And never forget to shine your light.